Vietnam's history is one of the longest and most resilient national stories in the world. For more than 2,000 years, Vietnam has existed at the crossroads of East Asia and Southeast Asia, shaped by Chinese civilization, indigenous traditions, colonial rule, revolutionary struggle, and rapid modern transformation. Few nations have fought so persistently to preserve identity, independence, and unity. Human settlement in Vietnam dates back tens of thousands of years, but organized civilization emerged along the Red River Delta, where fertile lands supported wet rice agriculture. The most important early culture was the Đông Sơn civilization, circa 1000 BCE to 100 CE. Known for its bronze drums, advanced metallurgy, river trade, and communal village life. Vietnamese legend speaks of early kingdoms such as Van Long and O Loc, ruled by the Hung kings. Though partly mythical, these stories form the spiritual foundation of Vietnamese national identity, emphasizing unity, ancestry, and resistance to foreign domination. In 111 BCE, northern Vietnam was conquered by China and incorporated into successive Chinese empires for over 1,000 years. During this long period, Vietnam absorbed Confucianism, Taoism, Mahayana Buddhism, Chinese writing, law, and bureaucracy. However, Chinese rule was never fully accepted. Rebellions were frequent and fiercely symbolic. The uprising of the Trung sisters, 40 CE, remains one of the most powerful symbols of Vietnamese resistance and female leadership. This era forged Vietnam's unique identity, culturally influenced by China, yet politically determined to remain distinct. Vietnam regained independence in 939 CE, marking the beginning of a powerful era of native dynasties. The Le dynasty established a strong centralized state and made Hanoi the capital. Confucian civil service exams, Buddhism, and Vietnamese law flourished. Under the Tran dynasty, Vietnam faced one of its greatest tests, 3 invasions by the Mongol Empire in the 13th century. Against overwhelming odds, Vietnamese forces defeated the Mongols, one of the rare cases of Mongol failure, cementing Vietnam's reputation as a nation that could resist even the strongest empires. Following brief Chinese reoccupation, the Le dynasty restored independence and strengthened Confucian governance. Vietnam expanded southward in a centuries-long process called Nam Tien, gradually absorbing the Champa kingdom and pushing toward the Mekong Delta. This era solidified Vietnamese culture, language, education, and legal systems. The Nguyen dynasty, Vietnam's last imperial house, eventually unified the country in the early 19th century, but growing isolation left Vietnam vulnerable to European imperialism. In 1858, France invaded Vietnam, incorporating it into French Indochina. Colonial rule transformed Vietnam's economy and society, introducing Western education, infrastructure, and capitalism, while exploiting labor and suppressing political freedom. Colonialism unintentionally fueled Vietnamese nationalism. Educated elites, workers, and peasants began organizing resistance movements, blending Confucian ethics, nationalism, and revolutionary socialism. In 1945, following Japan's defeat in World War II, Vietnamese revolutionaries led by Ho Chi Minh declared independence. France attempted to reclaim control, triggering the First Indochina War. After years of guerrilla warfare, Vietnamese forces achieved a decisive victory at Dien Bien Phu, 1954, ending French colonial rule and shocking the colonial world. Vietnam was temporarily divided into North and South, a split that soon escalated into the Vietnam War, one of the defining conflicts of the Cold War. The war involved massive foreign intervention, particularly by the United States, and resulted in enormous human and environmental devastation. Despite overwhelming military force used against it, North Vietnam and Allied forces prevailed. In 1975, Vietnam was reunified, ending decades of war and foreign domination. Post-war Vietnam faced severe challenges: destroyed infrastructure, economic isolation, and internal rebuilding. Centralized planning struggled to meet basic needs, leading to poverty and stagnation. Recognizing the crisis, Vietnam launched Đổi Mới renovation reforms in 1986, transitioning toward a market-oriented socialist economy. Since Đổi Mới, Vietnam has transformed dramatically. It has become one of the fastest-growing economies in Asia, integrating into global trade, manufacturing, and technology while maintaining a socialist political system. Modern Vietnam balances ancient traditions, revolutionary legacy, and rapid modernization, emerging as a confident regional power with a strong sense of national identity. Vietnam's history is a global story of resistance, adaptation, and survival. Few nations have faced so many powerful empires and endured. From ancient bronze cultures to modern economic success, Vietnam proves that cultural identity can survive conquest, colonialism, and war. Understanding Vietnam's past is essential to understanding East Asian history, colonial resistance, and modern global change.